While I pen down my experience of this, I am sitting in a corner of a hotel with a cup of hot coffee on my table, a place where I had done my preparation for my trek Hanuman Tibba. The preparation was perfect, reducing my weight, running, gym, swim, hiking, Chamundi Betta, stretches from physio, meditation, pranayama. Looks like I had not left any corners. Had addressed the nutrition very well too. As I knew I was scaling something big in life, which would be a milestone in my life. All packed with perfect gears, finally the day had arrived. Myself and Bharat from Mysore, Vishwa from Bangalore, Karan from Manali, each one had done their part of preparedness. The flight was easy from Bangalore to Manali.
So when the liquid fills up, then your head becomes heavy. And what exactly happens during haze is that uh, first let me tell you how the person behaves.
When we reached Manali, we were welcomed by heavy rains. The next day, we were taught about altitude sickness, high altitude pulmonary edema, and high altitude cerebral edema. After learning all these things from Karan and packing our bags, we geared ourselves.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उनी शना लाउनी शना लाउनी शना लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना
Climbing uphill, crossing the stream, and the tough moraine areas, we all made it up to the Bias Kund in 7 hours. Just ahead of our tent, Bias Kund stood with so much of serenity. Seven sisters guarded us from behind. A lovely stream of Bias flowed in front of our tent. The tent door would open to Mount Shitidhar, Zero Peak, Friendship Peak. The experience was no less than a heaven.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उनी शना लाउनी शना लाउनी शना लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना
It continued to rain for the next 48 hours. It continued to snow. People who had gone to Lord Ferry came disappointed regarding the heavy snow, avalanche, and difficulty of passing the gully. But hope was still in the air. But mind was open enough not to risk ourselves uphill. In the meantime, Vishwa developed high altitude pulmonary edema. His oxygen levels dropped to 35 to 50%. We had to shift him safely to Solang, and as he descended, he recovered.
चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना
The first
सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उनी शना लाउनी शना लाउनी शना चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना दिलारा
We already had the idea of our gears, koflas, harness, crampons, ice axe, carabiners. I had learned the basics of knot and rappelling. Jumaring was a new thing. We were taken to snow-covered Seven Sister, tried our practice. It was continuing to rain. Sun was not giving us any hopes.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उनी शना लाउनी शना लाउनी शना लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना दिलारा के एक ठिकाना एक ठिकाना एक ठिकाना
back.
The rest of the team decided to go ahead with the trek, and we decided to go for the camp fun at the base of the Tentu Gully.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना
As we walked in a snow-capped mountain with steep inclination, we realized that it was snowing for the past 3 days, and when we witnessed so much of snow at the base, it's impossible to climb the advanced campsites as we could just sink in snow or get hit by avalanche and risk our life. We camped at a very narrow ridge, a dangerous place, on the snow. Snow was the only source of water that day. It continued to snow the whole night. Our tents got wet, sleeping bag was moist. I shivered the whole night at those sub-zero temperatures, waiting for morning to happen.
चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उनी शना लाउनी शना लाउनी शना लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना
Dinesh Thakur, our trek lead, gave us the option of moving ahead with life risk or to immediately change the base to Yunam Peak. It was no brainer. We decided in seconds to shift. We descended the big mountains, came back to Dundi without wasting our time, left to Bharatpur, which is the base camp for Yunam Peak.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उनी शना लाउनी शना लाउनी शना लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना गेहुरा दाना दिलारा के एक ठिकाना एक ठिकाना एक ठिकाना लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना तेरे नखरे लोभी मखाना लोभी मखाना लोभी मखाना तो संगे लाना दिल लाना दिल लाना
The only problem with this peak is the high altitude, low oxygen, no flora, dry windy weather, spine chilling temperature. As we had already spent time at Biaskund, it wouldn't be a problem for us to acclimatize. Driving through beautiful mountain terrain, Sisu, Keelong, we reached Bharatpur. From the road, we were able to see the cornice of the peak. Going through the extremes of weather, temperature, inclination, the team was a little overconfident about the peak. I had not seen any videos before, but only knew the altitude was 20,000 feet. The next day, we moved from base camp to summit camp. That evening we slept early. All were calm and confident. We woke up at 2 in the morning, wore our gears and left for our summit push. We were a team of five. Myself, Karan, Bharat, two Shepa, Kim Singh and Deepak. It was 3 in the morning. It was cold. 2 layers of gloves still couldn't guard my fingers getting numb. I forgot I had a foot. Only worried I should not land up with a frostbite. After some uphill climb, wanted to sip some water, realized that the water was frozen too. I had a fair idea what was ahead of me. I passed through the trail with a slow pace. After a certain height, I realized that I was panting a lot. I started feeling weak, looked at the sky.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा
5 in the morning, the sun kissed the beautiful mountains. Looked back to see those beautiful CB range and Zanskar range of mountains. It was beautiful. Only such tough treks would get such beautiful views.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना गेहूरा दाना तेरा ना तेरा उईशना
As I was fighting with the altitude, with my reserve, endurance, BMI, I knew it was my journey. I started feeling weak. I struggled through taking each step. I sat as if I'm collapsing. I took out my gloves to drink some juice. I saw my fingers were blue. I knew that the altitude had hit me well. Being from a medical background and specialist in critical care, I looked at the sky hallucinating. Am I supposed to die in the white mountain at this altitude?
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना
The last 50 meters I sat again, as if my body was frozen. The nose had frozen secretion, my hands and foot numb. Dehydration had taken over. The cold wind continued to freeze. I heard Bharat shouting from top, "You have come till here, you can make it up the last bit, keep moving." Karan and Kim Singh cheered. I took up the courage, walked through the high emotion. I sat on the summit, cried my soul out.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना
Here we are summiting the Yunam peak at the altitude of 20,000 feet, but a friendship I can't sum up its value. I bow to nature and these great mountains for teaching us such life lessons so perfectly that every time I climb a mountain, I am more wiser, more simpler in life. This was Hanuman Tibba to me. This was Yunam Peak to me. I, from the bottom of my heart, thank Dinesh Thakur for his mesmerizing journey and safe journey without whom this memory wouldn't have been my gift.
लाल चिड़िए सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी वे जाना सेरी पोकीरा